One morning, the suffering came too close to home. In November 1979, there was an article in the LA Times about children living in Skid Row hotels. This was a setup for me in a way. I had been in those hotels. 1 year later, in January 1981, we opened our doors to 90 children ages 6 weeks to 5 years of age in an old warehouse on 6th Street. And I literally walked through the hotels and pulled kids in. Within a few years, we had expanded to the entire block, and this is when I found my voice. When you find out that you've got a voice and you're becoming the voice for people without a voice, that voice often can get louder, especially when the challenges that are presenting themselves mean that if you stop and you find it difficult, then they're going to not get help. Today, there are 6 early education centers, 3 charter schools, family support and mental health programs, and they're serving 5,100 families and children a year. In 1983, it was almost as if it happened overnight. We began to see people sleeping on the streets. The CRA charrette leader, an urban planner, and I started talking about the problem, and we came up with the idea of LA family housing. We would demonstrate that you could do housing for very low-income people, for families that didn't have to look like public housing projects. Due to a dwindling supply of affordable housing for families with very low incomes, many were becoming homeless, seeking shelter at Skid Row missions or moving into transient hotels. The response on my part was to create an organization dedicated to the development of affordable housing and provide a services coordinator to each site to assist families to break the cycle of poverty, and this would make everybody follow. In 1988, I quit completely to start 2 nonprofit organizations. Beyond Shelter, which would respond to the fact that families weren't able to get beyond shelter, and a community of friends. What we need to do is create a new nonprofit entity dedicated to the development of affordable housing for the chronically mentally ill, and it should always be done in partnership with a mental health agency in the community nearby, either public or private. There was a lot of money at the state level at that point to develop housing for people with chronic mental illness who were homeless, and the big developers weren't touching it. In fact, exactly what we did. Today, a community of friends has completed 47 permanent supportive housing projects, 42 currently in the portfolio with 16 apartments, 80% of them with formerly homeless individuals and families also affected by mental illness. At the same time that I was developing a community of friends, I also launched Beyond Shelter. From 90 to 2011, 200 workshops and presentations in over 75 communities, 30 states and Puerto Rico, including every year national 2-day workshops in LA and DC, always pretty much co-sponsored by the National Alliance to End Homelessness. I urge you, if you are in programs or you go to work in programs that don't look right to you, and I hear this all the time, step up.